How's everyone doing? I'm Dusty. I got Chris with me. Tony couldn't make it. Got held up with some late night working. Chris, we fall 0-3. Cincinnati Bengals.
We suck again.
Not ideal, buddy. There's a lot to cover, a lot to discuss. Overall, I think it's just such disappointment because it was the Ring of Honor night, the first time the Bengals have lost during a Ring of Honor night. And not only that, the fans are there. They're going crazy. The atmosphere is great. And this is what we produce. It's frustrating.
Yeah, frustrating is the easiest way to say it. I mean, we came out and, the offense was humming, but it never felt great outside of the first drive. We score 7 points on that first drive. We're starting to think, baby, we're back. And then they drive right down the field. They score 7 points. You're like, okay, we're still good. We're still good. We just got to, defense needs to turn it up a little bit. And they never did. I don't know. It's tough. This is a tough one for sure.
It's very tough because right now, I think everyone thought we'd be 2-1. The Chiefs, you're going to Arrowhead. That's an acceptable loss. It's they played it tight. It was a good game. Refs out of the way, whatever. It was a tight game. They matched up well. But the fact that you lose to the Patriots, then you lose to the Commanders. Now we got to face Andy Dalton, who the Red Rifle, as much as everyone wants to hate on Andy, he was
303 touchdowns last week. So
yeah, he was a good quarterback for the Bengals, a second round draft pick that brought us, in a year that there was what was it? They had basically a lockout, like the NFLPA and everyone kind of had the lockout, whatever they called it. And we didn't think the Bengals were going to be good. Carson Palmer, I believe AJ Green. There was a lot of weird things that was going on. In the fact they came out, they performed, they played some good ball. Andy just couldn't get over the hump. It's a sad, it's sad that he couldn't, but it is what it is. And you get Joe Burrow and you think, oh, things are changing. Cincinnati's changing. The thing that makes me the most mad, we do this locker room renovation, right? They do this great locker room thing. They tell the fans, everything's great, guys. The guys are going to be pumped up. We did this cool thing. You don't deserve shit. You don't deserve anything. I don't deserve nothing in life unless I work hard for it. You don't deserve nothing unless you work hard for it, right? The fact that I believe they should upgrade. They should do things. But a $1+ billion indoor field in all this different things, I don't care if they have that. I really don't. I could care less if they have that, if they win football games. Win a Super Bowl, get the fancy stuff. That's cool. Win the Super Bowl, get the fancy stuff. Invest in the players. Invest in guys like T. Higgins. Give T. Higgins the deal. Give Bates the deal. In which I get it. Bates is not the end-all, be-all problem of the Cincinnati Bengals. But how much money did they spend trying to replace him? How many draft picks did we spend trying to replace Jesse Bates? Multiple picks. Not just multiple picks did they spend. There was millions of dollars spent. Keep Jesse and then use the money elsewhere. But until you win a Super Bowl, I don't care. We all can agree Joe Burrow is great. Jamar Chase is great. But until you win a Super Bowl, I don't care about the fancy stuff. I want the Super Bowl. That's what I want. Like Tyler Bowles says down here, Geno Stone. How much did we spend on Geno Stone? 10 mil, 12 mil, something like that. It was a decent chunk of change. We don't need Geno Stone if you could have had Jesse Bates. You don't let your all pros go. Well, not just all pros, but all pros are better than your Pro Bowlers. But DJ Reader was the best nose tackle in football. He's injured, you let him go. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm just frustrated, man. That was a lot. That was a lot to digest. And
I mean, I think that this is where, like, it's not a secret. This is where me and you and Tony disagree. Like, do I think that we should have signed Jesse Bates? Like, yeah, but I think that they tried. Like, the report was that we were, like over 14.5 million over 4 years or something, and he ended up getting 16 million over 4 years. And like, I guess he would have come back, but the Bengals guarantees were low. Like, the Bengals guarantees have always been low. Like, it's not a shock. Like, there's a give and take to how much we can pay everybody and what they're asking for versus what they're worth versus, like, if the Bengals are going to do them a solid, then there's got to be value to that. There's got to be value on playing on a contender. There's got to be value on, like, the Bengals being willing to put talent around. So the Jesse Bates thing, like, I think that they really tried to make it work. And in all reality, they could have kept him for another year on the second franchise tag, but they chose to let him go out of respect for Jesse. Like, they gave their best pitch and they said, hey, we're not going to go higher than this. And then for T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, like, I don't blame the Bengals one bit for Jamar Chase. When it's reported that he turned down $35 million a year over 4 years in an extension, like, the Bengals can no longer be blamed for that. Like, if it's what was reported was 140 over 4 years, 90 million guaranteed. And okay, so Jamar wants 110 million guaranteed, or he wants, 105, whatever he wants. Like, they tried to give him a absolute Brinks truck of money, and that would have put him top 3 wide receiver paid in the league, if not top 2. Like, so the Bengals tried to pay Jamar, and for whatever reason, he said that's not good enough, even though he hasn't put up a number 1 overall wide receiver in the league season in his 3-year career so far. We all agree that he's great. Well, they tried to give him a great contract. Like, I think that the place where, T. Higgins, we don't really know what he was asking for. We don't really know what the Bengals were offering. But we all know that Mulligetta I am not a fan of, and I guarantee, well, I guess I can't guarantee, but from my opinion, he was probably asking for way too much money and not trying to get a contract where T could be happy and where T could be a, top 15 paid wide receiver in the league. He was probably searching for, reset the market money, top 10 in the league money, top 5 in the league money. And you can't really pay your second wide receiver top 5 in the league. So, like, that's my speculation that he was probably asking for too much on T. Now, where we can agree is DJ Reader. Like, letting DJ Reader walk feels like when they let Whitworth walk, however many years ago that was. Like, they let Whit go, and he still was an all-pro the next season. Like, he still
played like 4 more years. He
still had 3 or 4 level. Yes, 3 or 4 more seasons at a Pro Bowl level, and, like, went out on top. Like, this, they brought in Sheldon Rankins to replace him, and he spent a second-round draft pick on Chris Jenkins, and they spent a third-round draft pick on McKinley Jackson, and, like, that's all well and good. But at the end of the day, we were a bad run defense last year, and we're worse this year somehow. It's crazy. Like, we're not giving up explosive plays, but we can't stop anything.
Can we talk about Sam a little bit? Like,
I mean, I thought Sam Hubbard is fine. Like,
his PFF grade does not reflect that.
PFF grades are like a tiny portion of what you can, like, if you can see with your eyes that he's out there making good plays. Like, he doesn't make plays or at least I haven't. I've watched every snap of all 3 games, and I haven't ever been like, man, Sam really sucked there. You know what I mean? There's been a couple plays where I'm like, oh, he could have done better there. He could have done better here. But at the end of the day, we don't have anybody in the middle, so he's getting all the double teams. Him and Trey are the ones that are getting all the pressure. So like my thought process is like, okay, Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson. Those guys are supposed to be one of the top linebacker duos in the league. That's great. Akeem Davis-Gaither, he has been like pretty solid this year, I'd say. Okay, you bring Von Bell back. You bring in Geno Stone. Your communication is supposed to be better on the back end. These guys are supposed to be playing a little more free. Like, I think that Sam Hubbard has been fine, and he would be better if we had, better guys. If BJ Hill, Sheldon Rankins didn't get injured, if they would have played better in the first game. And my big problem with the defense this year is Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt. Like a couple years ago, what was it, 3 years ago, before Jesse Bates left, like when we were good, Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson were flying around, and they were like shooting through gaps and making plays in the backfield. Neither one of them are doing any of that. Not only are neither one of them doing any of that, but like early in Logan Wilson's career, you couldn't, like, he was like a safety playing linebacker. He was out dropping 20 yards down the field, getting interceptions, making plays that linebackers shouldn't be able to make in the pass game. Jermaine Pratt used to be this guy that had vice grips for hands, who, if he touched you, you were not getting away from it. He's missed like 5 tackles already this season. Like, neither one of those guys have been even good this year. So like, I get it. Oh, we're missing guys in the middle on the defensive line and whatever. But when you let DJ Reader go, he's coming off of an injury and he wants a lot of money. You gave Sheldon Rankins every penny that you would have gave DJ Reader. Like, I still think you can keep DJ Reader instead of Sheldon Rankins, and then draft Chris Jenkins, because he can be more of your pass rush guy. He can be more of your replace BJ Hill, in a year or two, though. Like, it's the defense has been doo-doo.
So like Tyler Bowles says here, Logan Wilson, I disagree with basically Chris' thoughts. Him and Trey have been our best 2 players on defense. And then there's everyone else. And yeah. I agree with Tyler. I think Logan's played good. Like, and him and Jermaine Pratt going into week 3 were second in the league in linebacker for tackles made. Now, were they playing at the level they did in 2021? No, they're not playing at that level. In which it's tough to pair those up because they were playing at an elite level. But I think they're playing okay. I think it's hard when you have guys like Dax Hill they're in position. Dax is in position and he's not making tackles. That's what frustrates me about this coaching staff when you come in to the season and you have these lackluster training camps and whatever where
player friendly. The players are going to love it. We're going to give everybody a bunch of rest. We're not going to work that hard.
Yeah, and you have that. Give me Marvin Lewis, this hard-nosed, old school, put your nose down and grind. You want a mean defense, right? Like, you want a defense that people are scared of. This defense nobody's scared of this defense. Now, when we had Jesse, and Von Bell was in his prime, I think Von Bell had his best years. We had Eli Apple who was, playing at his best level under Lou. So say what you want about Lou and what's going on. He played his best with Lou. You let these players go. That's where I'm frustrated at. I'm not saying, give Jesse Bates a crazy amount of money or anything like that. It's the point of how much money you invested to replace Jesse Bates and still not have it fixed. How much money you spent to replace Eli Apple and Cheeto. I'm not saying Cheeto had a great year last year. He didn't. He was coming off injury. I don't know how he's playing in Tennessee right now, but it's the fact that you're trying to replace him with rookies. You have money in the bank right now. That's what pisses me off. There's money in the bank. You know there was these problems. You had the only person on that defensive line is Trey. Now you brought in Sheldon Rankins, like you said. Sheldon Rankins, I think a lot of people were excited for. We were all excited to see what Sheldon Rankins could do. But our run defense was so bad. Our pass rush outside of Trey was so bad that what are we doing? Like, we know it's happened over and over. It's nostalgic. It's Cincinnati over and over. We had what, 2 good years. 2020 we drafted well. 2021 we didn't draft well, but we hit on Jamar and we hit on Evan McPherson. Other than that, we haven't really hit. Miles Murphy was my guy. He's a dude that I really want to see come up. I wanted the Bengals to draft him. I was very vocal about that on Twitter and to other Bengals fans, how much I wanted Miles Murphy. Guess what? He hasn't produced. That sucks. He's injured. Hopefully he comes back and balls out. But right now we're 0-3. They're not tackling. They're not making basic plays. I will not curse. We have guys like Geno Stone that made a play 8 yards down the field on 2nd and 20 or whatever it was and lights a dude up. Yeah, it was a great hit. And then you're celebrating. He just gained 8 yards on a missed tackle. There's nothing to be happy about. There's nothing. I don't care if you lit him up and he fumbled the ball and it went 10 yards back the field and they recovered it. Yeah, that's cool. But the fact of the matter is, there's nothing to be happy about. Zach Taylor shouldn't be smiling and saying, oh, we've been here before. Or, oh, we trust the guys. Things are going to go good. Joe's not a vocal guy. We all know that. But at a certain point, do you want to win or lose? You're a competitor. We know Joe wants to win. Be vocal about it. Trey Hendrickson is a dog. We all knew Blackout Trey, right? Remember Blackout Trey? He's still producing. He's the only guy on that defense. I have no problem with Trey being vocal with his dudes and getting up on them. Like, that's what a leader does. It's okay to get frustrated, and it's okay. It's not being a jerk. It's not being a dick. It's holding people accountable.
Dude, look at Tom Brady. Like when the Patriots were in the heat of their, Super Bowl runs, like Tom Brady would be on the sideline grabbing his offensive lineman by the face mask, screaming in their face,
yeah.
Like, spit flying off his mouth because he was fired up, because he was getting into it. I understand it's kind of like it's a new time, it's a new generation. These guys are like
soft, bro.
They're like nicer to each other. And Joe, oh yeah, I'm about the guys and this and that. But like, I need to see some fire, dude. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Tyler says here, like, Tom Brady broke a tablet. Yeah, that's true. I think that Peyton Manning actually spiked a tablet too. So
I got a story about Peyton Manning. I had a family friend that played for he played for Indiana. So he played for the Hoosiers. He had a dude that I believe he was a wide receiver. I don't know this guy. But he got drafted. He played with Peyton. This was probably like 8 years ago. He's a rookie, ran the wrong route. Peyton told him, get this guy off the field and give me somebody. I don't care. Just give me somebody. And he yelled it. Peyton Manning, and this came from a person I know's mouth that played Division I football, played there. He had tryouts in the NFL. Why would his friend tell him that this is what the star quarterback said? That's an embarrassing thing. Like, I wouldn't want me and Chris be out shooting hoops or tossing the football around, playing flag football or whatever in an adult league and be like, get this guy off the field. I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, Chris told me to get off the field and I'm lying about it. Like, he's not lying about it. That's what leaders do. And Joe will get there. I really think he will get there because he's fed up. And then you have the Carson Palmer stuff. What Carson say? They weren't giving me people. He wanted people. You call him a quitter. I'm still not a Carson fan for the way he left and stuff, but I get it. Like, I was young enough to not be in this whole like, oh, if you're against the Bengals, then go and root for Cleveland or Pittsburgh or a different team. Like, I was never that person. I liked the Bengals as young as I knew what football was. I was a Bengals fan, regardless how bad they were. But I can understand if you're a winner, you want to win. Like, I don't like losing. You don't like losing. We're not guys that like losing. when you have alpha style, you don't have to be an alpha style guy, but an alpha woman or man, somebody that likes to win. You're going to be vocal. You're a leader. You're a person that wants to win. When you're not winning, you're not happy, right? Like it's just how it is. Like if me and you played cards and we're sitting here playing rummy or something, and you beat me in rummy, I'm not going to flip the table, but I'm not going to be happy. I'm like, oh damn, Chris just won $5 in rummy, in 10 hands. Like I'm a little upset. Like this is it's off Kenner, but it's just a fact. When you like to win, you want to win. Be vocal, Joe. Be vocal. Everybody that's a winner, be vocal. Voice your opinions. I'm not saying fight each other in the locker room and be jerks, but like Marvin Lewis said, it's your team. Get it together, and if you don't, we'll find somebody else that will. We had Lawrence Guy. He comes in, and his PFF grade, which isn't end all be all, but his PFF grade was better than anybody out there, probably outside of Trey. He's off the street. You had these guys in training camp, and you knew what they were. You're the coaches. Make a decision. They're not good enough. Cut them. We've had Zach Carter, who I like Zach Carter. I thought Zach Carter, he's played out of position. I get that. He gained weight to try to do what he needed to do. I 100% understand that's tough. You didn't put him in the best position. Kind of the same with Dax. Like Dax was this weird in between. But if you want to play him at safety and it wasn't working out, no, okay, let's make sure he knows what corner is. So when it comes up, if he's playing inside, outside, whatever he's playing, understand what your role is on this team. It's a weird lack of leadership, which everyone loves Lou. Lou did great things for us. But what's going on? You shouldn't have to have there's Pro Bowl talent. Pro Bowl talent and all-pro talent that we had on that team, on that roster. The fact of the matter is we took Pro Bowl talent and tried to replace it with rookies and some scrub-ass players in Nick Scott and all these other dudes, and they're not producing. Give the rookie Cedric Johnson some reps. Like, I get it. You think Sam's playing okay, but he 75%. He's really not playing that great. Give Cedric Johnson some success. Move Sam inside because Zach Carter's not getting it. Move
you can't really. The issue is you can't really just move him inside because you need a bigger body guy there. Like even at Sam's heaviest, what is he like 260 or something? 270. Like
he's going to do better than Zach Carter. I guarantee it. I guarantee he does better than Zach Carter.
Zach Carter made some plays this week. Like I understand your point. Like I get it, but the issue is we're running out there on defense, and the only movement we have is on the back end. Like Lou knows that these are all backups playing on the inside. Lou knows that the other team knows that they can just run it down our throat if they want to. He needs to bring some pressure. He needs to run some games on the line. Like I haven't seen a twist. I haven't seen a stunt. Like I want to see something different. Like I understand some of these guys, Lawrence Guy just came in. He's playing a lot more snaps than he ever anticipated playing 3 weeks ago when he was on the couch. Like,
yeah, he still got like a 70% PFF. Like, I get it.
He's one of those guys that's like, he's about it though. You know what I mean? Like, he was clearly ready to come in and play. But my point is, you don't need to know the Bengals defensive scheme. You don't need to be here for the entire training camp to be like, hey, we want you to push this guy to the outside and get contained so our defensive end can loop back around inside. Hey, we want to run the linebacker on a delayed blitz, so we want you guys to occupy these two blockers so the linebacker can come free. You don't need to know the scheme and to do all the stuff for Lou to scheme some of that stuff up. Like he needs to figure it out how to get some pressure because there are worse defenses out there that are getting more pressure than the Bengals are. And we've played some teams with bad offensive lines. Like Mike Hilton, why are you not using him to blitz ever? He literally made his name in the league by being in Pittsburgh and coming on blitzes, coming on late pressures.
Derrick Henry, he did it to Derrick Henry for us.
Like you're not using these guys to their strength. You're saying, here's our scheme, bend don't break, you know what I mean? And one of the things about this Washington game that I do want to say real quick is that, like, they didn't punt the entire game prior either. So, like, I think one of the things that happened, and this definitely happened with me, I thought we were going to run all over them. Like, Washington's offense has been good. Jaden Daniels has played well. Like, their guys have been fine. They're the first team in like 80 years or something to have 0 turnovers and 0 punts in consecutive games. So that's that's a big deal. But like, Tyler's saying that Carter and Tefele shouldn't be playing 70% of the snaps. The issue is that on the defensive line, you have to be able to rotate guys. So like you have to have a full room for guys not to play 70% of the snaps. So you have Carter and Tufele playing. Well, Cam Sample, he's one of the guys that would have been getting inside snaps, you know what I mean, instead of Zach Carter. So Zach Carter's already a backup. The reason that he's in there is because Cam Sample was injured. Like, Cam Sample is also the reason that Hubbard can't get breaks, because you, in packages where you would have had Tufele, Cam Sample, and maybe Chris Jenkins in, now you have to keep Hubbard on the field because Cam Sample can't come in. Like, so Carter is playing more because Cam Sample's injured. Hubbard is not getting as many breaks because Cam Sample's injured. Like, that's kind of an underrated injury in this whole process, just because it happened a couple weeks before the season started. But you have Cam Samples out, BJ Hill's out, Sheldon Rankins is out. Like, all of these players are, there's only 9 defensive linemen that get dressed for a game, whatever. There's 4 on the field at a time. So now you have 6 of your regular guys. So you're calling up a couple guys. Plus you're getting, Lawrence Guy. So it's like, I see the thing. You don't want Carter and Tefele playing 70% of snaps. But, like, what are the other options? Like, we can't rotate guys that don't matter.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what you're saying. Like, there's a level where we need these dudes, but we have dudes on our practice squad. I'm trying to think of the dude's name. What's his name? Davis. I forget what his name
Dominique
is.
Davis.
Dominique Davis. He's played decent. I believe they had him elevated. Put him in the rotation. See what he can do.
Here's the thing about Dominique Davis is that I hear what you're saying there, but we got him as an undrafted guy like 2 years ago, I think. He's spent multiple years on our practice squad, and no other team has claimed him. So, like, I see what you're saying, and I like, hey, give some other guys a chance, get some of these guys into the rotation. But at a certain point, it's like, if they're not good enough, just because they're on the roster doesn't make them like a good option. You know what I mean? It's not like, Chris, they're going to bring Dominique Davis in, and because the guys are getting 5 less snaps or 5 more snaps of rest, I guess I should call it, that they're going to like play that much better. Because
what I'm saying is he might not play better, but let's see what's going on there. Just like Jordan Battle. Like, Jordan Battle, I don't even think he played a single snap. Like, I get Von Bell is a vocal leader. He's not the same Von Bell we had in 2021. He's not. And that's cool. Like, we had Mike Thomas. Mike Thomas was a vocal leader, but he wasn't starting. He wasn't, like the go-to dude. So why not get these dudes in? Because it's not working. Like, if you score on every drive, it's not working. Like, it's simple as that. We're 3 weeks in. We got teams that have picked in the top 5 in New England, and then this past game. So why are we not just try something else out? And the other thing, I saw today that they weren't practicing in pads. They were taking an easy day. You guys aren't tackling. Like, I get Dax Hill has been in position, and not just Dax Hill. It's fun. It comes to that lackluster offseason that we've done. I'm not saying on this old school dude where it's like, just nose to the grindstone, If people get hurt, they get hurt, replace them. I'm like, no, I understand there's a balance. I 100% get that. But if you're not tackling and you're not playing right, and you just get your asses kicked at home against another team you should have beat, you need some hard practices. You need
on Ring of Honor night. On Ring of Honor when you're supposed to like honor the team, when you're supposed to win. The reason that the Commanders are on the schedule, the reason that you put the Ring of Honor night on, Monday night when you're playing a bad team is because you're supposed to win that game. Like these guys.
That's what makes me the most mad. You had a rookie quarterback coming into a stadium that was crazy. You had some fan favorites, especially, Tim Krumrie, great player, but Corey Dillon's a more recent, I wouldn't say relevant in a bad way, but relevant to our generation, right? He's more relevant to us. And a dude that literally, he was the Bengals from, 98 to 2002 or whatever in that time frame. And he was a beast. And it was great to see Corey Dillon get in there. And there's a lot of people, because Corey Dillon's interacted with a lot of the fans. So there was a lot of people that were there and engaged, and not just with Corey, but like the whole environment in general. It's Monday Night Football. We're 0-2. Everyone's there thinking it's a home game. We're playing in prime time. We're going to win this game. The crowd's going crazy, and you fall short. And it's like, how many times does weird, silly stuff have to happen where it's not the point that we fell short today, but it's the accumulation of being 0-2 the past few years. Now we're 0-3. And then there's money in the bank where we could have fixed these problems. But the Bengals are talking about, we didn't sign Jamar, which is, I guess, fine. Like, they reached out to Jamar, they didn't get the thing done. But you have this off-field weird stuff. But you have Trey Hendrickson, who wanted this. He wanted more money, even though he signed the deal. Like, that was kind of weird. He was wanting the trade thing. That's not good for a locker room. You have T. Higgins, who is a team guy. There wasn't a whole lot that went out there. His agent, same as Jesse Bates, Mulligetta, like, not ideal. But you let some of these key pieces go, and it just always accumulating, and you're seeing the downfall of it, where we're 0-3. Now we're going to play Andy Dalton, but this was a game we should have won. There's no excuses. The defense didn't get one stop. Not a single stop. And if they could have got one, the offense did what they could do. Like,
dude, and the worst part about the defense is we had them at 1st and 15 twice on their last 2 drives.
And second and 20.
2nd and 21 because we got a sack. Finally got a sack. Like, the first one of the whole game, I'm pretty sure. And, like, they just lose, like, all right, let's hang back at 15 yards and just let them throw a pass at 6 or 7 yards and run for another 8. Okay.
And then you have Geno Stone during that same thing celebrating. He made a big hit. That's great. But you gained 8 yards. Now it's 3rd and manageable.
And on 4th and 4, Lou put the picket fence at 10 yards. And literally, like, he double covers the tight end. But he has both guys playing 10, 12 yards off the ball. Like, what do you think is going to happen on 4th and 4 when they're going for the sticks? All they need is a first down. Like, these guys, the defensive players have not been good, but Lou hasn't been good either. Like, there's no adjustment. There's no scheme. There's no like you're not ever, like, I haven't ever in one single time this year been like, oh man, what a great call,
Right. Now let me ask you this.
Defensive call.
Well, let me ask you this. Coming out of halftime, they're doing the halftime Ring of Honor ceremony, like, they're doing all this. What do you think did you feel confident? Because I felt confident. I was like, Lou's going to figure this out. I really felt the defense is going to figure this out. I felt it. Like, I truly did. I was sitting down in my basement where I'm at right now, watching TV, hanging out, and my daughter was sitting here, and she was playing on her tablet, and we're talking. And then I watch, and I believe that's when the kick return goes for like 70 yards on Eckler. Eckler the week before busted a huge, I don't know what it was, but I remember him busting a touchdown, and it might have been called back. I believe it was called back, but still, it's Eckler. We know what Austin Eckler can do. He's an explosive guy. Special teams, that's Darren Simmons. It's not Lou, but still, like, coming out of half at home, the crowd's going crazy. We have the Ring of Honor. You would like to think either punt it out of the end zone or get, punt it, or sorry, not punt. I'm an idiot. Kick it into the end zone. But, like, get it to where the defense comes out and get set. How many times was the defense not set? This is why I'm so irritated. There was multiple times where the defense is confused. We're talking about bringing Von Bell back because he's, this leader and stuff. But you come out and we get 12 players on the field. There's players on the field running out of the back of the end zone. I don't know if it was, I can't remember if it was Davis Gaither or if it was Pratt, but one of those dudes ran out of the back of the end zone because there was too many people on the field.
Yep.
What are we doing? Know your formation. And it wasn't just that. There was other times multiple times where the defense is literally looking around and you see linebackers pushing corners, like move this way, moving the safeties. You have to communicate, but it's cool to communicate. Okay, I see this. Let's move to Tampa 2. Okay, cool. Or okay, let's bring a corner or a safety up into the box because it's going to be a run. It's obviously a run. I knew that. I'm up by the line of scrimmage. I've studied this. Whatever. But when it's coming down to 2 seconds on the play clock and you're still scrambling, that's not good. It's not good, and it happened multiple times. And it's just, that's what's frustrating. Like, these guys have not came into the season looking prepared at all, regardless what talent is on the field. These are NFL caliber guys that have played through college, have been, good enough to be in the NFL. Like, I'm not saying, like, I'm not an NFL player. I'm not saying I'm good enough to go there and learn all this stuff and be there. These guys are there for a reason. I 100% get that. So what's it come to? It comes to coaching. You're not putting these guys in the right position. So I'm blaming some of the players. There's veteran players. There's guys that play a lot of ball that's there that should be leaders and know, hey, this ain't right. You need to be here. Whatever. Just like it's basic football, and you always have leaders. Football, basketball, even baseball. You have certain cues you go off of, and the fact that you're not seeing it and people are scrambling. We took a timeout. I think it was against the Chiefs, where it was like, why are we taking this timeout? We took a timeout early, and why are we taking timeouts? Right, and that was on offense. One of them was on offense out of, like, I think a play review or something. And it's just like, what is going on? That all comes back to coaching.
Yep. Yeah, there's plenty of blame to go around. Like, the players suck, the coaches suck. You know what I mean? It's like
true. It's true.
It's crazy to say. Like, coming into the season, we're all like, oh yeah, we're on the right track, and we're coming back for hard playoff push, and we're coming back with a vengeance this year and whatever. And me leading up to the season, I'm like, man, this defense, like, I'm hearing a lot of good things from training camp and the preseason. They looked pretty good. Like, they're going to put it together this year. I think they're going to get it. Lou's got these guys playing. Like, they suck. They all suck. Every one of them sucks. Like, I mean, I don't want to say, it's
but
crazy
it's true.
For me.
It's true.
But, like, there's the best thing that we can say about the defense is that Trey Hendrickson is good. Like, that's the best thing that we can say about the defense. And if there's nobody else to pass rush, then does it matter if Trey's good? Because they're going to have 2 guys on him and then chip him. So, like, he clearly couldn't get home on his own last week. Like, all you have to do is scheme to block Trey, and I guess that's it. Like, we played some decent, like, there were some decent things. Like, the run defense actually this year, or this game was like 3.5 yards a carry or 3.3 a carry or something. Yeah. So we did decent, but missed tackles. I mean, we've been over this. So, like, Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, Geno Stone. Actually, Geno Stone kind of sucks to me. Like,
he sucks bad.
I think that he hasn't been good. Like, we're talking about this Jordan Battle stuff. I have no idea why he hasn't gotten on the field. Like, I personally don't think that he should come in for Von Bell, because I think that Von Bell is, like, he's not a stud. He's not he's not the Von Bell of a couple years ago, but he's been playing, like, decent. Like, he's been playing what I would say is average. And I'm not taking out a guy that's playing average, but, like, can they run a package with Von Bell and Jordan Battle in together? Because Geno Stone hasn't been good. Like, he came up and laid that big hit. He's actually gotten toasted in coverage a couple times where he's been out of position and the quarterback's just, like, missed a throw or something. Dax Hill, the guy can't tackle. We know that for a fact, which I have no idea why. He's like 6'2", 200 pounds. He's he's a stocky dude. He's so fast. He's in position.
4'3", runs fast. He's there. Does make the play.
And at the end of the game, the last play, that the Commanders have on offense, they literally just launch it up to Terry McLaurin. And what is he doing? He's like,
he bites. He bites hard.
He's completely and totally bit on a fake that is not even made by the quarterback. Like, Jaden Daniels didn't even pretend like he was going to throw it short. Dax Hill was just like, I already know what's going to happen. He's going to throw it short. Like, my guy, you are not good enough. You are not good enough to guess. Like, you're not good enough to guess and recover. You don't have it like that. So, in the most important part of the game, maybe don't. Because all you have to do is hold them to a field goal. Like, you don't have to make the game-saving interception and take it back for a touchdown. You don't have to do all that. All you have to do is not let them score a touchdown. And you're going to bite on a fake that doesn't happen. And, it's just, I'm so frustrated.
The thing is, there should have been a passing interference on that. He hit Terry McLaurin way early. That was an amazing catch. It was an amazing throw and catch. But, like, dude, why are you biting on this? I don't know. Overall, that was amazing. It was an amazing throw and amazing catch because Dax definitely, that was passing interference. He hit him way early. I can't believe they didn't throw it because he was all over the dude after, he was completely like, well, I screwed up. But it's like, Dax, what are you doing, dude? Like, cover your guy. That it was just a go route. And I don't know, Terry kind, I don't know, he might give him a little jab step. But
he just gave him like a hesitation. But, like,
yeah, a little hesitation.
I'm watching all these guys. Like, right now I'm watching the Cowboys and Giants game. I got it up in the background, and, like, they're showing a lot of these routes by, like, Malik Neighbors. Every single route when a guy's going a go route, like, nobody's just, like, trying to burn past the defender. They're trying to set him up. They're trying to do a little hesitation, fake to the inside, go outside, like, slow step, stutter step, and then go. Like, every single time somebody does a go route, they're doing a hesitation. So, like, why are you biting on that? It doesn't make sense to me. It's just a tough look for Dax. It's a tough look for the defense. Like, I'm obviously tilted 100%. It's just unbelievably. I really, really thought, like, I wasn't really that sold on Dax, like, but I was like, man, Cam Taylor-Britt, he's a stud. Von Bell, he's gonna get the communication back, and Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt are gonna come back, and they're gonna be playing fast. and they're going to be hitting holes, and they're going to be getting in there, and they're not. They're not playing well in pass coverage. They're not making tackles. Like, yeah, you said, oh yeah, they have like they have a bunch of tackles.
They're like second in tackling.
They're like second in tackling, whatever. They have a lot of tackles, but they're also missing a lot of tackles. So they could probably be first if they didn't miss those tackles. And I don't care how many tackles they make. I care how many they miss. Because, like, they can make 20 tackles a game, which you probably, it's probably a bad thing if your linebackers are having 20 tackles a game. But, like, if you're missing 2 tackles a game, what are you actually doing? Because you're extending a drive. Like, in a normal game, like, it's not gonna kill you, every once in a while, like, give the offense an extra couple yards, whatever. But it's every single game, like, it's every single drive, every single time they try to tackle a running back. Like, Jermaine Pratt is trying to recreate the play where he rips the ball from Travis Kelce. Every single time he makes a tackle, he's trying to rip the ball out. You guys suck on defense, so how about just get the guy to the ground? Don't worry about trying to rip the ball out and letting him get an extra 3 yards. Because you know what happens if he gets an extra 3 yards? They get a first down, and then the offense is still on the field. Just pull him to the ground once instead of trying to pull the ball out of his arms.
Like, how about just a nice hard tackle? A nice hard clean tackle. Now, I was complaining about Geno Stone, celebrating after a nice hard tackle. But Geno Stone also laid a very hard hit on Jalen Daniels. So he lays the ball. That was the Terry McLaurin. Like, they did scheme that up. And there's pressure in his face.
Mm-hmm.
He gets laid out, and that's a touchdown. And Jacksonville,
but
it's just like I get what you're saying. Like, we need guys that are they've been there, right? That's what we've heard. Oh, these guys, they've been there, they've done that. We've been 0-1, we've been 0-2, now we're 0-3. Guess what? Slow starts bite you in the ass, bud. Like, it's the NFL. There's only 17 games. There's not many. There's not. And the problem with the Bengals is you got guys like Joseph Osai has not produced. He had a lot of potential. I was happy with Joseph Osai. And then you have the Cam Sample, which I believe Cam Sample, what was he, a 4th-round pick? In Cam Sample,
something like that. He was a late-round guy from, like, Tulane, but, I mean, he's played really well.
He's played well. Like, I like Cam. I like Joseph Osai. But when these guys aren't producing and you see it, you're firsthand. If I'm around these dudes all the time, like, I get it. It's hard. You get these personal relationships and stuff. Like, you don't want to cut somebody that has a good heart. They're a good person. They're working hard. But you're not making the plays. You're getting paid to do it. It's your job. You got to put personality away from it. Like, if you worked for me in a construction business and you're showing up late to work, you're literally not doing like what you need to do. The jobs are getting behind because of you. I will say, sorry, Chris. Like, we're friends and stuff. Like, I'll let you know you have 2 weeks, but you're if you don't produce in the next 2 weeks, you're out of here. Like, that's real world, real life. It's the NFL, and guess what? Every other team does this. And the Bengals have money in the bank. That's the biggest thing that makes me mad. There's been money in the bank. They sat around and waited, and we got Sheldon Rankins pretty late, honestly. Like, we got Sheldon Rankins late. We knew there was a problem on our interior pass rush and our run defense. And we get Sheldon Rankins late. What's the Ravens do? The Ravens bring in whatever the hell that dude's name was. They bring him in late as a pass rusher. But why do we not do that? Like, what is the Bengals front office thinking? Like, dude, this is why the notoriously cheap organization, like, whole thing comes up. And it does make me mad as a Bengals fan, especially for 33 years of being a Bengals fan, that, like, the media, like, hates on the Bengals and stuff. But it's like, Jesus, man, they're right. Like, Carson Palmer had solid points. There's stuff that's happened where we have money, invest it. Don't roll it over. I could give a damn less about your fancy locker room or your fancy new indoor stadium and all this stuff that you're trying to do. I don't care. Win. That's what I care about. You will make so much money off a team that wins a Super Bowl. It'll be unreal. Invest in that. Don't just get mediocre and be okay with being mediocre. And then after being mediocre, oh, we make a push. Oh my God, the Bengals made a push. Everyone loves them. Yeah, we love the Bengals, so we're going to be there and support them because we're excited. But dude, let's literally make the front office accountable, because I don't want to put it all on Zach and Lou and all these people, but the drafting hasn't been good. 2020, we had a good draft class. 2021, or when did we draft Joe? 2020, right?
2020, yeah.
We had the first pick in each round. We had good picks. We had Joe, Logan, or Joe T. Logan. After that, who the hell do we have? No one. Nobody that's on the roster. Maybe was Cam Sample in that draft class?
Or was he either that or the next year? He was either Joe's year or the next year. I think he might have been the next year because he's still on a rookie deal right now.
Yeah.
And
so
this would be his.
And then the next year, 2021, what do we get? We get Jamar. Great. We get Jamar. Obviously, that's great. Then there's nothing for it. I think Joseph Osai might have been that year. And, he hasn't played at a round 3 player. We also get Evan McPherson, and then basically we haven't had any true impact players. And it's really sad. Like, you have to draft well, and you can't have 10 picks. We had 10 picks this past year. There's nothing to show for it. Now, granted, we had guys injured. We had Mims was injured. He came in, didn't grade out super good, but he had some promising plays where he kind of pushed some guys around, especially in his run. Like, it might have been his first play. He pushed a dude 5 yards up the field. That was great.
Yep.
And then after that, you have Chris Jenkins is a guy that I think we all can be excited for. He got injured, which is unfortunate. But after that, you get Burton, who you think has a lot of potential, and he does have a lot of potential. You're not playing him because I don't know why. He's got speed. He catches everything. Give this dude more opportunity, and I guarantee you Jermaine Burton will produce. He will. I guarantee it. If he's just got too much talent. The talent's there. Mold him. Be a coach. Have teammates that are around him to set him straight on whatever he's doing. And then after that, McKinley Jackson injured, which is fine. I get why you drafted McKinley Jackson. He was a little high for what I wanted, but you draft McKinley Jackson. After that, there was some good picks, but take them picks, mold them into other players that can help you this year. That's what good teams do. Good teams do things, and we're just not doing it. We had 10 picks. What's the point of having 10 picks? They're not playing. Like, that's what frustrates me. You're letting guys like Jesse Bates go. He's going to go next year. We don't have Jamar's done, which there's a bunch of stuff you can talk about Jamar's deal with not paying him because the different money and not producing. That's fine, but there's a distraction there. And supposedly the Bengals reached out to Jamar, and maybe they did reach out to him. I don't know, but that was what the talk was, that they reached out to him. And there's just a bunch of things over multiple years that gets frustrating. Like, use your draft picks, move them, move the draft picks around, trade up, trade back, do what you need to do. Use players that you know you're not going to retain. Oh,
yeah. I mean, they tried to pay Jamar though. They tried to give him an absolute crap load of money, but Jamar said no, that's not enough. Like, that's wild to me. Like, the amount of money that is reported that they offered him, like, and he said no to, is just unbelievable. Like, to say we're going to extend you for 4 years and you still have 2 years of your contract left, and then we can franchise tag you, and then we can franchise tag you again. But we're going to go ahead and give you all of this money right now, which is way more than we would have to pay you in the next 4 years. Like, the fact that he said no to that is not like that fully takes responsibilities for me off of the Bengals for Jamar Chase. For T, we don't know what they offered. We don't know what he was asking for. So there's like a little up in the air there. For Jesse, I think that they should have offered more. Like, they should have been more willing. But at that time, like, people weren't really giving safeties all that money.
But the thing is,
so
we took the money that Jesse had and we gave it to Orlando Brown. We wouldn't have signed Orlando Brown if Orlando Brown's team didn't reach out to the Bengals. Orlando Brown wanted to come to the Bengals. We wasn't even going to. He wasn't even in the idea. We got very lucky that his king was like, "Hey, we want to go to Cincinnati," and if that didn't happen, and we got Orlando, which I think a lot of people could agree that we got him fairly cheap. Like, I think we got him for like $16 million. Yep. He is a guy and he's played well. He's definitely played well. Now, the fact that there's money in the bank and the Bengals are so concerned about rolling this money over. Oh, we got to roll it over. Like, we got money for draft picks and free agents and like in season stuff. We just don't do that. Cincinnati does not do that. So why not do what we did in 2021? In what was it? 2020 we drafted Joe and we got DJ Reader. The next year we end up getting, Trey Hendrickson. We get Awuzie. We get Eli Apple. We get Mike Hilton. We get a lot of key pieces, and I think I'm missing somebody. Alex Kappa. We get these people. And look what happened. We go to a Super Bowl. We make a run. Like, I'm not saying you have to pay top of the line money all the time, but when you homegrown somebody like Jesse Bates, T. Higgins, you get a guy like Trey Hendrickson that you trust and you believed in, you paid him pretty good money off the rip, and he's produced, and now he's offering a trade. Like, all this stuff starts adding up inside that locker room, and it doesn't take long because it's only been a few years, but you go a few years and you see it and then you have, in which I agree with you with Jamar. Like, I think what they offered Jamar, what was like reported, was reasonable. Jamar's never had number one numbers.
It's not just reasonable, it's literally top two. It's almost number one money. Like,
right.
It's a year before any of these other guys got their extension. So, like, there's value to that. There's value to him getting the money before the Bengals have to give it to it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree with you.
It's reported that, I'm annoyed that the Bengals reached out to me and then we couldn't get a deal done. Well, my guy, they reached out to you and then you said, hey, let's wait on these other deals to get done because I think they're going to be a lot and I want to get more than them. Okay, well, you want to wait for CeeDee Lamb to get done? Got it. We're going to give you more money than the Cowboys gave to CeeDee Lamb, and you're going to say no? Like, and then you're going to say, I'm annoyed that the Bengals reached out to me. Like, it's wild to me. But at Trey Hendrickson, he has no right to complain. The Bengals not only made him like a top 10 paid guy when no other team wanted to pay him that much money whenever we signed him, but the extension that they gave him was also like $21.2 million or something for that single year. So, like, how many guys are making $22 million? You know what I mean? For a single year. Like, if he really thought like, oh yeah, I'm going to go get some massive contract elsewhere, he would not have signed a 1-year extension. And then, months after signing your 1-year extension, you want to say, oh, I need more. So, like, the Trey Hendrickson thing is a complete, like, non-issue with me, just because I think that he signed a 1-year deal and then realized, like, I probably screwed that up. So then it was kind of like hey, we're going to try to get more, but it's probably not going to go. Because he didn't really complain about it. He wasn't really like, discontent or anything like that. But like the Jesse Bates thing, I think they should have gave him more money. A lot of people think they should have gave him more money. Based on the way he's playing, they definitely should have gave him more money. But like at the end of the day, you have to make the tough decisions. And T. Higgins, you know, I've said it 4 times already, but like we don't know what he was asking for. So you can't just say, hey, you have to pay T. Higgins, you have to pay T. Higgins, you have to pay T. Higgins. Because like, okay, if he's asking for $35 million, you know what I mean? I'm laughing in his face and hanging up the phone. But like if he's asking for 27 and the Bengals are offering like 22 million a year or something like that, then yeah, his camp is laughing and hanging up the phone. But like we won't ever know that. And for all we know, the reason that they didn't spend money elsewhere is because they were trying to actually make offers on both Jamar and T and spend a buttload of money, but it didn't end up working out. So like I understand the frustration with the like, oh, they're not spending money. They're not spending money. The Bengals have shown a willingness to spend money by going out and getting Trey Hendrickson and making him top 10 paid at his position, by making Orlando Brown top 10 paid at left tackle, by making Joe Burrow and Joe Burrow and, Carson Palmer, number 1 paid.
Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton got paid the bag.
Andy Dalton got paid a bag. AJ Green there's all of these guys that the Bengals just wheeled up a truck. When DJ Reader got brought here, he was the number 1 paid nose tackle in the league. Like
52 mil.
We're giving guys money, but like we can't give everybody we can't let everybody reset the market at every position every year. It's there's eventually going to be guys. So like Jesse Bates was kind of one of the casualties of that. And like, I'm sad that Jesse Bates left. I'm sad that, he chose, like the money seemed close and he chose to go to Atlanta, which is not a winning team. You know what I mean? So like, what's the value of being on a winning team? What's the value of being in Cincinnati where the cost of living is lower? You know what I mean? How much more is he spending to go live in Atlanta, which is a huge, expensive city? Like there's all these other things that go into it. And like, obviously the teams that have the no state tax and, blah, 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 this and that, like they have a big advantage too. And the league tries to do certain things to offset that, but you can't really ever offset it fully. So like, for all we know, my main point is this, for all we know, the Bengals were trying to sign both T and Jamar, and they're trying to get a bunch of cash ready, and they're trying to, basically do the business side on the front end so that they can offer both T and Jamar because they want to keep them both, because the Bengals have historically wanted to keep, 2 top wide receivers and a top quarterback. Like it's just tough for me to be like, oh, the front office is super cheap and they're all this, when in the last 10 years, they've thrown money around to like a bunch of positions. The positions that they haven't paid have been like tight end. They haven't made a safety a top paid guy. They just gave Evan McPherson like $5 million a year or something like that, which is a top 5 paid kicker in the league. Like they're throwing money around. It's just like everybody is not going to hit. So like when you miss, you throw the money around and you miss. Like it's not good for anybody. So like, yeah, Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt, when we signed them, they were like, oh man, we got both of these guys for $15 million a year, like combined. That sounds great. Well, you know what I wish we were spending $15 million a year on now? Anything else, because those guys suck this year. Like Logan Wilson has been fine. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm just completely and totally frustrated right now, and I'm obviously off the deep end. Like I don't feel as bad about the defense as I'm saying everybody sucks and let's just burn it all down. But like at 0-3, it's like it's almost comedy to But like Logan Wilson has played fine. He's been average, but like even at $8 million a year, like we're not hoping that he's average. We're expecting him to be good. We're expecting him to be the green dot on defense. We're expecting him to be the guy that makes a play to help us win. And he hasn't done that. Jermaine Pratt hasn't done that. Cam Taylor-Britt's made a couple plays, but like he's been really up and down. He's made good plays, but he's made a couple of equally bad plays. Letting Rashee Rice get past him for a touchdown, not being in good position against, Terry McLaurin, which granted that was a great throw for that first touchdown. But like, there's all of these things and all of these guys that are supposed to be doing it that are just not. So could we have just gone out and spent a bunch of money? Like, sure, but where is the position right now that you're like, oh, this is the biggest problem? Is it defensive line? Is it linebacker? Is it Geno Stone? Is it cornerback? Is it the fact that Gesicki is actually not that good? Is it the fact that we probably could use a depth interior offensive line piece? Is it the fact that, you know what I mean? Like, there's all of these things and all these guys and all these positions. And as much as I love to just say, like, yeah, the Bengals have money, they need to go spend it. Like, if it is true that they're trying to sign both Jamar and T, if that's the case, then like you have to not spend the money now so you can spend it in the offseason.
Now,
I just
Chris, you're coming off way more optimistic than I thought you were going to be.
I honestly,
I'm surprised right now. I'll say that I'm very surprised because I'm frustrated, as a lot of fans are. There's a lot of people out there who are frustrated, and I can 100% agree with what you're saying. With they have placed money in certain aspects. It's a shame that Sam got hurt last year and he hasn't quite recovered, and he's probably never going to return to that 2021 form, right? Like, I think that was his peak. I think that's where he's at. We're spending money there. I think the money that we got for Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson, I think that's still good value. I think there's still good value there. I think they've played some decent football. Would you like to see more? Yeah, you definitely. There's always that, like, you want to see more. I think it's just the aspect of letting these players go that are top 5 at their position, and they're leaving. I think that's the main problem. And then knowing you don't have people secured. Like, I get what you're saying with T and Jamar. Like, you want to lock them both up. It didn't work out. I think the problem, at least with my frustration, is that it didn't get done. In the Bengals, if it didn't get done, I can 98% say that T's going to leave next year. So where's that leave us? We might we'll probably get a comp pick. So we got to hope that T plays really good to get a comp pick.
If I'm the Bengals, I'm just going to tag him again. Like, if the going rate for a number 2 wide receiver is going to be $32 million a year, and I can keep T Higgins for $27 million for one more year on a franchise tag, then I'm tagging him. Like, the thing that these receivers need to realize is that the franchise tag is team control. So, like, if I'm the team and I have the control for that year, and I can say, all right, T, you're going to make $22 million this year and $27 million next year, because we can franchise tag you both years. So that means your value for hold on, 2 years Chris. Is $49 million combined, right? For 2 years.
That's what I'm saying. So
if they're gonna offer him $52 million for those 2 years, and then another $52 million for the next 2 years, okay, you're getting an additional $3 million in those 2 years. So everybody always says, oh, it's the team needs to do more, and the team needs to give him more money. The team doesn't need to do crap because they're already trying to give him more money than he would be getting. But the player also has to play ball. Like, it takes two. So I always hear, oh, the team needs to do this. The team needs to give more money. The team. I don't ever hear anybody talking about the players. The players talking about they're entitled to getting so much more, you know what I mean? And the indoor facility and the practice facility and the locker room. The Bengals aren't doing that stuff because they just want to spend money. The Bengals are doing that stuff because the NFLPA started coming out with this report card every year, and the Bengals are getting the F because players don't want to come here because because they have to practice in the rain and the snow. Okay, well, the Bengals are trying to combat that. The Bengals are trying to get guys to want to come to Cincinnati by saying, all right, you sissies, now you don't have to practice in the rain and the snow, so come and play in Cincinnati. Like, the Bengals aren't building that facility because they wanted to build it. The Bengals are building that facility because players wanted it. Players said, we're not going there because it's outside. I'd rather go to Miami. I'd rather go to New York because I want to live in the big city and I want my cost of living to be 5 times higher and I want my rent to be 10 times what it would be if I were to live in the Midwest. So now my $10 million contract is actually playing like a $4 million contract, and the $9 million the Bengals wanted to give me would still be looking like $9 million. So like, there's all these things. I'm just so frustrated, and I like the locker room, and the players want the locker room. The players want the upgraded facilities. The players want this. The players want this. But now the team's getting shit on for spending the money and doing this stuff because the players like.
Oh boy! Hey, listen, hold up, Chris. I just got you to curse. Listen, we're getting Chris worked up when he says shit on here because Chris does not curse. It might be the first time in what we got about 40 or 50 episodes that I got Chris to cuss on here. Big Marshall says, how do you think that would affect the locker room next year if they tag T again? Now, I understand what Chris is saying. I'm not hating. Me and Chris, we'll go back and forth, and that's what makes it fun. Like, we're not always going to agree on things, but it's all fun because you get different perspectives, and different perspectives is what makes it work. That's why in the Bengals locker room and the Bengals staff, they need different perspectives. Because if everyone's saying, "Oh, this is the greatest idea ever," oh, well, my boss says it's the greatest idea. This doesn't mean it's the greatest idea. We're going to disagree on things, and I get what you're saying with my thing with the locker room is win a Super Bowl, get the upgrade stuff. They won. They went to the Super Bowl. They got an AFC championship. They went to an AFC championship. That's a big deal. That's great. But we haven't won a Super Bowl, and I understand other players want to bring in. If you do this stuff, other players will want to play here. But when you have guys like Trey Hendrickson, which I get it, Trey Hendrickson his agent did not do a great deal for him, in which caused Trey to be like, hey, what the hell, dude? I'm a top 10 pass rusher, at least a top 10 pass rusher in this league.
Yeah.
Now my bias with Trey would be, he's a top 3 pass rusher in this league if he had any help at all. Now, that's somewhat the Bengals' fault for not being able to fill that need to make him that guy. Now, is he as versatile as a Myles Garrett, who can line up anywhere? TJ Watt, Micah Parsons. These guys can line up and they move around. Trey, he sticks that right hand side. Now on the offense, it's the left hand side, but Trey's not quite that versatile player. I kind of think of him as like a Max. What's the dude for Oakland or not Oakland?
Max Crosby.
Max Crosby. I kind of think of him like a Max Crosby, an energy guy. He's just constantly bringing it play after play. And there's a lot of really good pass rushers. Every team has a really good pass rusher for the most part. It's sad that the Trey thing kind of went down the way it did. I think Trey deserves more money, and I can understand his frustration, but that probably should be, like you said, more tailored, not to the team, because the team did do him solid and they did pay him. The agent went and told him, oh, this is the deal, whatever, and he signed it. So he's probably listening to this agent. Trey seems like a good dude, and that's kind of the problem there on my idea of it. Do I think the Bengals got a good deal out? They got a steal, right? Like we can agree Trey was a steal of a deal that they got him for. We could have had what was it, Carl Lawson? Like Carl Lawson or Trey Hendrickson. No, we got Trey Hendrickson. Like it was a great deal that happened. So
all right, so let me ask you this. So Carl Lawson was a guy that was drafted by the Bengals. Carl Lawson was a guy that played his way to the ability to get a $15 million, $16 million a year contract, basically the same contract that Trey signed with us. He played his way to the ability to get that deal from another team. If he's out here balling, is this the same? Like the same sentiment? Like, oh, we needed to pay Carl because, like there's always the Carl Lawson possibility.
I would say
when you're talking about like Jesse Bates, it worked out for Jesse Bates. He's great. But Carl Lawson was kind of like Jesse Bates, before Jesse Bates went to the Falcons and still continued to play at a Pro Bowl level. So like if we sign Carl Lawson, guess we spent the money, but he sucks, So like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was a good deal for the Bengals.
Yeah,
it was a great deal for the Bengals. The Bengals did it was a great deal for him. Now, if Carl Lawson, if Hendrickson didn't play at the level he's played at, and Carl Lawson played at the level we expected him to play, then yeah, I think a lot of people would be upset about it. That's why I'm saying, it was great that he did that. And Trey should, I don't know. Trey is playing at a level we want him to play at, right? Like we're happy that Trey's playing there. My thought is there's money in the bank. The Bengals have money in the bank. I don't want them to just give Trey, we got a remaining of $20 million. We're just going to give it to you. I'm not saying that. I'm saying they made a good deal there, and we want him to be happy. But there was other money to spend. They didn't quite spend it. Now he's left with the burden. If Trey doesn't get pass rush, there's no pass rush because we gave Sam, which I get it. He's an Ohio guy. He played at Ohio State. He's from Cincy area. He played some good ball for us in 2021. He was really a developmental guy. Like we didn't expect Sam to be exactly what he is, so he kind of played above what we wanted. And then we gave him a decent amount of money. And
here's the thing about so the thing about Sam Hubbard's contract is like 4 years, $11 million a year. He signed like a 4-year, $44 million extension. So like he's making only $11 million a year, which is tacked on to his rookie deal, which he was a second or third round pick. Really, as a third round pick with a $44 million over 4-year extension, which makes it 5 by probably 48 or something like that, 5 by 46. Like he's not making that much money. So the fact that like he shouldn't be getting the blame for like, the Bengals gave him this big deal. Because right now he's not even top 30 in the league in pass rusher like contracts. There were 5 guys, 6 guys, 7 guys each of the last 3 years that got $20 million a year. So like he's at the end of the day, he's still making, $10 million a year, $11 million a year. Like that's not a huge contract. That is not dragging them down at all. Like for a defensive tackle, if he was making that and like kind of being, below average to average, then you could say like, oh yeah, Sam Hubbard, he needs to be producing more for the amount of money, but like he's not getting paid that much money as a defensive end. He's not. So he's getting paid like a role player, and he's kind of playing like a role player.
11 million is a lot, though. You can do
not for defensive ends. It's not
no,
for
I'm
defensive
not
ends.
saying, no,
Like,
I'm not saying for D.
That matters.
But when you draft a guy like Miles Murphy, you kind of expect that role to be filled. A guy that's decent against the pass, he's decent against the run. You kind of expect, and you take him in the first round. Now, I really like the pick of Miles Murphy. Now he's injured; he hasn't quite played up to that role. But I get what you're saying. Like I'm not trying to argue with you. The Sam Hubbard is just, I think he's past his prime, and I think the Bengals should have known that leading in. I'm not saying his deal was horrible, because at the time it wasn't, but there was players out there they're available, but he hasn't played good. Now I get
$11 million good. He's played $11 million good. You know? Like he's getting paid like 35th. He's getting paid like the 35th defensive end in the league, and he's fine. Like average,
but there's
average is probably what?
Starting.
Right, what? And he's playing average, and he's getting paid average. So, like, you know what I mean? If
I'd have to look it up, I don't think he's playing average. Nothing. I like Sam. I'm not
pass rushing. He's not pass rushing. He's never been a pass rusher. He didn't get money because he's a pass rusher. I'm pretty sure at his peak, the highest amount of sacks that he's had in the league is like 8. So we're not. He never got that contract because he was getting after the quarterback and he was good at it. He's just a solid all-around guy. Like
he is a solid around
everything average, and he's getting paid like he's doing everything average. So like
at the time though, he got paid pretty well. That's a pretty handsome paycheck.
He probably got paid like top 20 in the league at the time.
Right. Like which is pretty handsome for what he's done.
It was, and then and then we were ahead of the curve.
That's with everybody.
And then everybody at your position started getting 15, 16, 19, 21, 22, 28. Like there are pass rushers out here now that are making over $30 million a year. Trey Hendrickson is a good deal when he signed a 1-year extension at 22 and then got mad because other guys reset the market and made a whole bunch more money. And then Sam Hubbard is like at 11 million. Like you're looking back at that deal and like, man, that's a pretty solid value guy. Like Trey Hendrickson would still go to over half the teams in the league and start. Like, or not Trey, sorry. Sam Hubbard would still go to over half the teams in the league and start because his skill set is like heavier on run defense and stuff. He's not making the flashy plays, but like he's making the plays that need to be made. He's not out here like getting in the backfield and bouncing off a tackler, bouncing off of running backs and not being able to make the play. He's just kind of like your steady guy, and you need those steady guys to be able to. You do,
but I haven't seen that steadiness of him this year. Me personally, I mean, I get it. Like I'm not trying to argue about him, but I just haven't seen the Sam that we saw in 2021. I haven't, in which that was his peak year. I have not seen that out of him, which is
so like when you say that, are you saying like, oh yeah, I've seen him make a bunch of bad plays, I've seen him miss a bunch of plays, or are you just saying like I haven't seen him splash?
I seen him
that explosive play.
No, I seen him whiff on a play just last game against the Commanders. I saw him where he had containment, he did what he needed, and then he just completely whiffs. I've seen it a couple different times. Like I saw it. In it is, like Tyler Bull says, we need fumble in the jungle energy for Sam again. And I like Sam, I really do. And I'm not hating on Sam, but he's playing 70% of the snaps. I get it, we have a lot of injuries behind him, but I'd like to see Cedric Johnson possibly get some more snaps. I'd like to see Joseph Osai play better. Now, is that exactly on Sam? No, it's not. It's on drafting. So Joseph Osai, he just has not been to the level of a third round draft pick that you invested in and you'd like to see. Besides Osai, you have Cam Sample. It's, really shitty that Cam Sample is injured. Like that was huge for us. It really was. Like Cam Sample is that role guy, like kind of what you're talking about with Sam.
He was playing really, really well. He was playing really, really well last year and the end of the year before. Like he was
Cam Sample would have been a big difference maker for us this year. And I truly believe that he was kind of coming into his own. I think he would have played a really good, he would have earned himself a nice contract if he stayed healthy. And it's a shame that he didn't. It's just the defensive line as a whole. Yes, we spent a lot of money there. We just haven't exactly hit the way we've wanted. We've got an expensive line, and just the fact that we haven't hit the rollover. We have draft picks. Like last week was Chris Jenkins' first game, and Chris Jenkins played decent. He had a couple nice. I think he might have had 2 tackles. He might have more than 2, but I can remember 2 tackles that he had that was pretty nice. And then you have a guy like Lawrence Guy that comes off the street and he plays better than what you had. And it just makes you think, what's the coaching and the staff thinking when this dude can come off the street and perform better? That's all I'm saying. Like, I wish the best for Sam. Like, I want Sam in. I think at the time when we paid Sam, like you said, I think he got paid a reasonable contract. I don't think right now he's playing to that level. He is a captain on the team. He's very influential on the team. So I want to see him. I just want to see him play better. I want to see we all just want to see the team play better as a whole. Like it's just it's tough right now. And when you see the defensive line playing poorly and the only person getting pressure is Trey, like that's it. Now, is it on Lou that he's not scheming up the right, pass rush plays? Now, Dax Hill has been in position where he's been up by the line of scrimmage and he could have made tackles on it. Granted, it wasn't pass rush, it was running plays, and he whiffed on them. But then you have a guy like Geno Stone that's been up there. He put pressure on the quarterback for Jalen Daniels. And I mean, he lays him out, he hits him hard, and he throws a perfect ball like he was there. So what's going on? There's just been missed tackles. I'm kind of tired of like this lackluster, easy training camps, easy like practices. Like if they're not playing good, you work them. They're just like anything in life. Like if you're not performing well, okay, we'll train on it, work on it, and get better at that. Our tackling has not been good. That's a fact. The tackling has not been good. Horrible. Get better at it. Start working. Tyler says we also need to go on that 10-game winning streak like 2022. Dude, and that could happen. I'm not saying it couldn't. The team could get together. Like we said very early, we're going on an hour and a half. But earlier in the show, we talked about Joe being more vocal, in which he talked about his leadership skills and different things. You need those guys, in which Trey was a guy I referenced too, like Blackout Trey. I said, we need these leaders to step up, getting players. Like, I'm not saying I want players to fight, but hold people accountable. Like if you want to win, you're going to get mad. You're going to get mad because you love the game, you love winning. You don't want to look bad. So hold people accountable, and if you have to get up in their butts and let them know, hey, we need to do this.
Hey, the first padded practice of Orlando Brown Jr.'s Bengals career
with Trey,
him and Trey Hendrickson were literally fist fighting.
Yeah.
You know why?
That's that fire.
Because those guys hate each other. It's because they're both competitors and they're both out there just trying to beat the guy in front of them every single time and trying to make each other better by doing that. Like,
that's what I need, man. I need that.
That is what we need.
And the only way you can't do that in an unpadded practice. You can't.
Yep.
Like,
you really can't.
Regardless. Like, that's like, I'll reference like basketball. That's like me playing the freshman team as a varsity player in going up against them, playing, just running our offense and letting them run whatever zone defense or whatever they want to do. Like, yeah, we're going to own them. Like, we're going to own them. But if we play 5-on-5 full court and we're going, things are going to get physical. Football, 7-on-7, 11-on-11. Like, no, you got to put the pads on and play 11-on-11 with pads. You're not playing 7-on-7. We're playing 11-on-11, full pads, and we're playing ball. We're doing, even if you're in full pads and you're not doing exactly like live tackling drills, but you're in pads, you're hitting moving objects. And I'm not saying you have to take everyone to the ground. You don't have to do that. We're not saying, light Joe Burrow up, light the offense up. Get the pads on, let the defensive line and offensive line do some goal line stance, because the goal line's been, and not goal line, but red zone. The red zone offense has been pretty bad. Like, we've got to the red zone. We've scored some points in the red zone. That's fine. Get down the red zone, start at the 15-yard line, and put the pads on and let the men do what they do. Freaking ball out and play football. And that's what's going to take. You have to have dudes put their nose down and play football. Get to these goal line stances. Hey, defense got stopped. Great. That's awesome for the defense. Offense, what is going on that we're not scoring touchdowns? Okay, let's run this play. Did it work? Yeah, it worked. It didn't work. Whatever. But you're hitting the offensive line and defensive lines, hitting each other. You're getting pressure on Joe. I'm not saying tackle Joe. We don't want anyone to tackle Joe. To put your hand on him, touch him, that's a sack. Cool. You're within a yard of him. Oh, that's a sack. Blow the whistle. Play's done. Restart. But you still need that full contact, that push. You got to feel it. You have to have the linebackers coming up and reading the plays and making, like, oh, I'm going to hit this gap. We got an explosive running back in Chase Brown. What's it look like on the goal line when you have Chase Brown exploding through a hole? What's it look like if Chase Brown gets the line doesn't make a hole for him and the defensive line clouds it up? It's just seeing that. And that's just where I'm frustrated, man. Like, put the pads on. You're 0-3, and right now you're doing unpadded practices. You got helmets on. You're out there in shorts and t-shirts, or shorts and a uniform, and you're not hitting each other. Go out there and hit each other, man. Feel it. See what it's like. Put them in pressure. You know what we used to do? The big thing, like, football is a little different than basketball, but like basketball, we would play and we would play hard. And then at the end of practice, if you miss a foul shot, we're running. Okay. It's the same with goal line stuff. It's different, but it's the same. Like, you're going to play and you're going to run, and it is what it is. Like, put the pads on, man up, put your nose down, and see what happens. And I don't want anybody to get hurt, and it would be a shame. But when you play the way they played and they didn't get a single stop, go against put the second string in. I don't care. Put them in. And if you're looking bad against the second string, start running, do some conditioning. I don't care. Start hitting some of the whatever you call them, the plates or whatever, the people that you push. I forget what they're called. Whatever, doesn't matter. Start hitting. What? Am I froze or you froze?
You're cutting out a little bit.
Not all right. I was going on a rant that probably needed to cut it out. That was probably my sign. But we've been going on for an hour and 34 minutes. We'll start closing up shop. We've got a decent bit of listeners in here, and definitely appreciate everybody. I know the season hasn't gone how we exactly wanted. There's probably some there's negatives and positives we can take from it. definitely like Tyler Bowles. He's always in here. We got Big Marshall, who's always in here commenting. We appreciate you guys. All the other listeners, we definitely appreciate you. Um, just it's frustrating stuff, and I don't like being negative. I hate being negative, but I don't consider holding people accountable that's making a lot of money being negative. Like you're just holding people accountable. I think those are two different things.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff Chris said that I can easily agree with because he said some good points pretty much debate with some of my points. So I think there's things that we both want the Bengals to do and would like to see them do. There's a lot of stuff they could work out. And really, this year and next year is going to be a big deciding factor of which direction I think the Bengals will go.
Yeah. I think for me to wrap up, get these last couple of points in here, two things. The first thing is, you hear a lot of these people say, like a lot of the national media, oh, well, the Bengals are 0-3, so they have this 2.4% chance of making to the playoffs, blah, blah, blah. That 2.4% chance is based on teams that have done it in the past. Well, they've only been playing 17 games for what, 2 years now? So that additional game is going to give them a better chance than that 2.4% or whatever it is. Another point to that is that a lot of the teams that are starting 0-3 are the teams that are supposed to start 0-3. So, the only way a team makes it to the playoffs after starting 0-3 is if they have a good roster, if they have a good quarterback, if they have a good game plan. The Bengals have the roster. The Bengals have the quarterback to overcome this. It makes it way harder, that's for sure, especially in, the division. But the Browns, the Ravens, they've done us some favors to make it at least a little bit easier to maybe try and get a wild card. So the Bengals' fate is still in their own hands. We still have 14 games left. So if we go 10-4 the rest of the way, is that a wild card spot? Maybe. And wild card teams have won the Super Bowl. Maybe. Were the Giants a wild card team whenever they beat the Patriots? I don't know. Anyways, anybody that makes the playoffs has a chance to win the Super Bowl. So if the Bengals go 10-4 the rest of the way, we finish 10-7, get a wild card spot, sneak into the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like I said, it makes the road a lot harder, but I still believe that the Bengals can do it. I still believe that this defense maybe can look in the mirror and realize that they're not, the hottest thing since sliced bread, and that they need to take a look and hold themselves and hold each other accountable. I still believe that any team that has Joe Burrow at quarterback can overcome a lot of issues. So I think that the offense after these last 2 weeks is on the right track, and they need to keep it up, and they need to keep it up at a high level. But the majority of weeks, if I said it after the first week, you hold a team to 16 points, you expect to win that game. Well, on the flip side this time, you score 33, you expect to win that game. So the defense needs to be better. The offense needs to keep it up. And then the second point that I wanted to make is that I've basically this entire time just been complaining and ranting and roasting the defense and roasting the team and whatever. And there's been no real direction, and there's been no real hey, this is what we want to talk about, and here's this question, and what do you think about this, Dusty? And what do you think about this, Chris? It hasn't been any of that because there's so many things right now. There are so many problems. We don't have to be organized. We can crap on everything, and it works because everything sucks right now. Everything sucks, and we're unhappy with it because of how much we love this team. We obviously want to see them succeed. So, thanks for hanging with us for this hour and 40-minute no direction rant, crap on the team session. This is like therapy for me, just sending it out into the internet. So you guys can agree with me in my points and my takes, or maybe you think I'm the stupidest Bengals fan out there, and that could be the case. But at the end of the day, we all love this team. We all want them to succeed. The only reason that we even give a crap to be out here talking and to be out here complaining for 2 hours is because of how much we care. So, like, at the end of the day, I'm still going to be rooting for the Bengals to win the next game. Even if they're 0-4, I'm still going to be rooting for them to win the next game. I'm still going to be rooting for them to win the next game, so on and so forth. So, all that to say, sorry that I've just been ranting. Sorry that I've been complaining and crapping on basically every player on the defense except for Trey, I think, has caught a stray in this episode. But we just want the best. We just want the best. So yeah, that's all I got.
All right, man. So that was a good closing. I really hope the Bengals don't lose to Andy Dalton. That's kind of, Andy's.
How did we talk this whole time and not even mention the fact that Andy Dalton gets a revenge game?
Yeah, that's
my gosh,
a scary thought. So I really hope the Bengals come in. I mean, there's a good chance. The Bengals could. They win this game. We go on a nice little run. There's a lot of opportunity. Now, you get a guy like Miles Murphy back, a guy that I really like, I'm high on. He comes back, balls out. Now, Chris Jenkins, a guy that a lot of Bengals fans really liked. We got him in the second round. There's a chance he really makes a big push, and the defensive line could be fixed. A couple players that are first round, second round picks come back to your lineup. That's a big deal. So, there's a really good chance we go into Ravens week. Then, that's week 4, week 5. We can start making a push. Like, we're 3 games in. I don't like to be negative. There's just some things that's been going on where it's just like, man, wish they would have done this. Hindsight's everything. That's kind of the big thing. Chris was a little more optimistic. I was a little more negative. Tony, no, I'm not throwing strays at Tony. Sometimes, Tony will kind of call it out as it is. Chris is pretty optimistic. I'm pretty optimistic. And then we get this nice merge of all 3 of us, which makes it fun. It's nice, especially when you're open-minded people and you can, talk about it, laugh about it. It's just football. We got lives, we got families, we've got other things that matter more. Now, granted, Mondays are normally a lot better after, the Bengals win, right? And so our lives are a little better when Bengals win, but it's football. So it's nothing but fun. It's always good to get different ideas of where we like to see the same thing grow and go into. So there's no hate between our opinions. They're fun opinions, and it makes things a little funner. So I'm really interested to see what Tony's thoughts are. Maybe I know I won't be able to do a show before Sunday's game, but maybe Chris and Tony will be able to do one before Sunday's game. But next week, I think we've been doing good, man. We've been getting some shows out. We've been doing pretty good at being consistent, even though our schedules are all a little wacky and crazy. So hopefully we can keep doing the week-to-week stuff for you guys and seeing where it goes and where this team goes. I really think I don't see the Bengals going 0-4. I don't see that. I think the Andy Dalton thing is going to be put to rest. The Bengals will get their win against Andy, and then we'll be focused on the Ravens. So those are my thoughts. Any closing thoughts, Chris?
Who dey?
All right, guys. Once again, thanks to everybody that was was listening. We appreciate you. I know we don't say it much, but give us that little subscribe. Give us a listen. It's always fun when we have people in the chat. We got our few people that always comment and give us their thoughts and stuff, and it makes it fun for us. Like, we love interacting. And granted, most of those people that comment are our friends that we talk to and stuff, but it's definitely fun. We try to always post your comments and your thoughts up there, so it makes it fun for us, and I imagine it's fun for you because you get your opinions out there. So Who Day and Bengals get a win this Sunday, baby.
Man down. It's like